There is a trap being set for you in ordinary rooms, and the bait is your own face. Someone near you has learned how to make you flush, stumble, and shrink in front of witnesses, and they return to that trick because it keeps paying. But there is one response they cannot handle, one built from 4 moves, and when you learn it, the trap snaps shut on the hand that set it. Tonight you will learn exactly what that response is, and why it disarms them permanently. Friedrich Nietzsche knew humiliation the way a soldier knows mud. He was mocked in lecture halls, ridiculed in reviews, laughed at by the polite society of his day for ideas they lacked the depth to hold. Illness bent his body while critics bent his name, and he had no crowd to defend him, no circle to hide inside. So he was forced to study the mechanics of mockery from the receiving end, year after year, until he could see what the mockers themselves could not. He discovered that public embarrassment is never really about the victim. It is a performance of power by someone who has no other way to feel it. And he built, from his own scars, the one response that turns the performance against the performer. Think about the last time someone tried to shrink you in front of others. Maybe it was a joke aimed at you across a dinner table, sharpened just enough to cut and soft enough to deny. Maybe it was a colleague repeating your small mistake in a meeting, slowly, so the room could taste it. Maybe it was a relative resurrecting an old failure at a gathering, smiling while they lowered you in front of people whose respect you wanted. And remember what your body did: the heat in the face, the scramble for words, the laugh you forced to survive the moment. That reaction was not weakness. It was the exact currency they came to collect. So today, we expose the response that people who try to embarrass you cannot handle. And once you own it, you will watch these situations transform from ambushes into auditions where the attacker fails in public. Nietzsche taught that every social attack is a bid for elevation. The one who embarrasses you is not expressing an opinion of you. He is purchasing altitude with your composure, climbing on your reaction while the room watches. Which means the entire transaction depends on one thing only: your visible disturbance. And here is the law beneath everything tonight. Embarrassment is not something done to you. Embarrassment is something collected from you. The first part of the response is the pause that does not apologize. Watch closely what the attacker expects in the first 2 seconds. He expects speed. A rushed defense, a nervous laugh, a stammered explanation, anything fast, because speed is the sound of a rattled mind. So the response begins with the opposite of speed: silence. 2 full seconds of it, held with a level gaze and a still face. Not a glare, not a wound, just stillness. The stillness of someone examining a small object they have seen before. That pause does something violent to the attacker's plan. It leaves his joke hanging in the air with no reaction to complete it. And a joke without a reaction is a man standing alone on a stage he built for 2. Nietzsche taught that composure under insult is the first visible mark of rank, that the strong receive provocation the way a mountain receives weather. The crowd senses rank faster than it hears words. In those 2 silent seconds, the room's respect quietly changes addresses. Your silence is not absence. Your silence is judgment. The second part of the response is the calm question. After the pause, you do not defend, you do not counterattack, you do not explain, you ask. Softly, evenly, with genuine curiosity on your face, you make him repeat or explain himself. Say that again. What do you mean by that? Help me understand the joke. Notice this pattern. Mockery is a creature of speed and shadow. It works as a passing sting, deniable, quick, gone before inspection. The calm question drags it into the light and holds it there, wriggling. Now he must either repeat his cruelty slowly, in cold blood, in front of everyone, which exposes the malice he was hiding inside humor, or he must retreat, mumbling that it was nothing, which is surrender wearing casual clothes. Either way, the crowd sees the mechanism, and a trick seen is a trick dead. Nietzsche believed that the weak attack in ambiguity because clarity demands courage they do not own. The question is how you invoice them for that courage. Make the mocker, explain the mockery. Explanation is the natural predator of cruelty. The third part of the response is the refusal to perform recovery. But here is where the lesson grows teeth, because this is the part almost everyone gets wrong. After surviving the moment, most people immediately start performing wellness. They laugh extra loudly at the next joke. They talk more than usual. They circle the attacker with warmth, desperate to broadcast that nothing landed. Understand what this actually signals. Over-recovery is a receipt. It tells the attacker and the room exactly how deep the blade went, because no one bandages a wound that does not exist. The response that cannot be handled includes this discipline. After the pause and the question, you simply continue. Same voice, same posture, same topic, picked up precisely where it was dropped, as if the interruption were a fly that entered and left the room. Nietzsche taught that what you refuse to dignify with struggle loses its claim on your story. The attacker spends the rest of the evening searching your behavior for damage, and finding none, he begins to doubt the one skill his social life is built on. You did not survive his attack. You declined to attend it. Now stop here, because there is a twist under these three moves that almost nobody sees. The pause, the question, the refusal to perform. They look like three techniques. They are not. They are one single law wearing three masks, and the law is this: whoever needs the moment more loses it. The attacker arrived needing something. Your blush, your scramble, the room's laughter, altitude. You, composed, need nothing from the exchange at all. And in every human contest, visible need is the losing position. The response they cannot handle is simply the absence of need, demonstrated in real time. You are not fighting for the room's opinion. You are letting him drown in his own bid for it. And that brings us to the fourth and final part of the response, the deepest and most dangerous one, because it addresses the attacker your guard is least prepared for. But let's go even deeper, because here is the darker layer. The stranger who mocks you costs you an evening. The intimate one costs you a self. The sibling with the surgical memory for your worst chapters. The old friend whose teasing has grown 1 degree crueler each year, hiding behind the word joking. The partner who lowers you gently in company and calls it honesty. These are the attackers who know your real pressure points, because you handed them the map in tender moments. And when they press those points in public, the pause and the question are harder to perform, because your heart is in the room. This is where Nietzsche's hardest teaching applies. He said the ones who diminish you in front of others are showing you the rank they need you to hold in their lives, and that love, which requires your smallness, is not love, it is management. So with intimates, the response gains a fourth move, the private sentence. Later, alone, calm, one time only, you name it. That worked once, it will not work again. No anger, no essay, no negotiation. One sentence, delivered like a fact of weather, and then a visible willingness to let distance grow if it repeats. Some people only respect the boundary they have tested. Let them test it once. The intimate mocker fears one thing more than your anger: your quiet willingness to be less available. Anger tells them they still own the controls. Distance tells them the controls have been removed. So what do you actually do with all of this? You do not become cold. You become uncollectible. Rehearse the pause now, in your mind, so it is waiting when the moment comes, because these moments never announce themselves. Practice the level gaze in low-stakes settings until stillness is your default posture under pressure. Keep the calm questions loaded. Say that again. What do you mean? Explain it to me. Retire the nervous laugh this week, forever, because it is the sound of you co-signing your own reduction. And for the intimate ones, prepare the private sentence in advance, word for word, so love cannot blur it when you need it. None of this requires you to become harder than you are. It requires you to stop funding the performances staged at your expense, and understand the strange mercy hiding inside this response. When you become the person who cannot be embarrassed, the attackers do not merely stop, they reveal themselves. Deprived of your reaction, some grow bored and drift to easier targets. Some, stripped of their one social weapon, become oddly respectful, because bullies keep precise maps of who is off limits. And a few, the rare ones, actually change, because your composure showed them their trick in a mirror, and they did not like the man holding it. Either way, you win rooms you never fought for. Nietzsche was laughed at by men whose names the world has completely forgotten, and he answered them with a stillness that has outlived every laugh. The mockery died in those rooms. The composure became immortal. Hold your face still and let their joke die of loneliness. Hold your voice level and make cruelty explain itself. Hold your ground without performing survival. Hold your distance where love is used as a leash. Because the room never remembers the insult. It remembers who needed the moment and who owned it. Mockery is not power. Composure is not weakness. And the person who needs nothing from the moment is never the one it defeats.